Hey, before you watch this video, I'm going to talk in this video about my favorite books to read aloud. I want you to go down in the comments and let me know some of your favorite books to read aloud so I can add to my list so I can keep making videos about books that I love to read aloud. All right, on to the video. Hi friends, my name is Colby Sharp. I am a 5th grade teacher in Michigan and I like to make videos about books. I've been making a lot of videos lately about read aloud and why we read aloud, and I just love reading aloud to kids. I think it is one of the ways that makes kids fall in love with reading, helps kids fall in love with reading, and these books that we read aloud to them stay in their hearts forever. And the question I keep getting asked is, what are my favorite books to read aloud to kids? What are my favorite chapter books? And so I said, I'm going to make that video. And then I just started putting books in a pile, and it kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So I thought I'd just start a series, books I love to read aloud. And in each video, I will talk about 5 books that I have read aloud to kids and that I loved reading aloud to them. So today, we're going to be talking about these 5 books. Are you ready? Let's go. First up, Aisha Saeed's Mall Unbound. This was a global read aloud selection a couple of years ago, so tons of kids had the opportunity of reading this book aloud. It's so good. Aisha has created this amazing book about a girl named Amal who lives in Pakistan, and one day she is in like a village market and an incident happens with this man who is like part of like this family that has a lot of power in the community, and she has an incident run in with him, and he basically is able to just say, fine, you're going to come and live with me, and basically she's like a slave to him, and her family had to let her go. And my students are just blown away by this story. They cannot even comprehend what is happening. It just opens their eyes so much to what the world could be like if they lived somewhere else, or they were born into another family or into another part of the world. And the conversations that you have in books like this, and it's takes place now, present times. It's just a conversation starting masterpiece. This book, Mall Unbound, is one. If you have not read it with kids, you are missing out and your kids are missing out. It's so darn good. And that cover, whoo, so good. Mall Unbound, one of my favorite books to read aloud to children. Dan Gemeinhardt's The Honest Truth. I love this book, and I love this book because this is the book that I would have loved having read aloud to me as a kid, because when I was a kid, actually sitting in 1 or 2 classrooms down from where I'm sitting right now, I was a student here, my teacher read aloud Gary Paulson's Hatchet, and I feel like this is the Hatchet story of the 21st century. It's so stinking good. This boy has cancer and he feels like he is dying and he wants to die on his own terms, and so he decides to run away, and he has this elaborate plan where he runs away with his dog, and he's just going to climb a mountain, and that's how he wants to end his life. It's so powerful, it's so beautiful. It goes back and forth with his story and then also the story of his best friend Jessie and her kind of figuring out what is going on and what he's doing. You have the family trying to find and save him, and him trying to, while he has cancer and he's super sick, trying to go out on this insane adventure. The story with his dog, it's an unforgettable book. You're on the edge of your seat reading it aloud. The kids are just dying to know. It's one of those books you stop reading, you're like a terrible person and they hate you for a minute because they're just dying so much inside, having to know what's going to happen with these characters, and they feel they're just all in. They're all in on these characters and all in on the story, and they just must know what is going to happen next. It's so good, and the ending is so amazing. The Honest Truth, a must read aloud book. I love this book. Oh. He also wrote the book The Remarkable Journey of Coyote Sunrise, which I've never read aloud, but if I did, it would probably be on this list. I love that book. Maybe I'll read that aloud this year. I don't know, I haven't thought about it. All right, next up, The Strange Case of Origami Yoda by Tom Engelberger. This is quickly becoming the book that I've read aloud the most of any book in my career. I don't usually like to read aloud the same book every year. I usually maybe read one book one year, that I read the previous year. I just get bored, but I don't ever get bored of this. I never get bored going to Macquarie Middle School and sitting with a bunch of kids and trying to figure out whether or not Origami Yoda is real. If you haven't read this book, holy smokes, it's time. It is a story about these kids at a middle school, and they have important questions, including Tommy. He wants to know if he should ask this girl out, if he should ask her to dance. And Origami Yoda tells him yes, but he's trying to figure out if Origami Yoda is real. Who is Origami Yoda, you ask? Origami Yoda is a finger puppet that Dwight, who's kind of different, wears on his finger, talks in Yoda voice, and gives advice. So as you can imagine, Tommy might not believe that it's really a finger puppet with superpowers, but he really likes this girl and he wants to ask her out. Oh, it's so much fun. It's told in a case file. It's got illustrations, these little illustrations throughout that one of the character draws. It's got the kind of bullyish kid that's struggling to find friends, and Harvey, Tommy, Dwight, Quavando, Mike, all these amazing characters kind of help you to figure out whether or not Origami Yoda is real. I'm actually currently reading it as I film this video. Like in my class, I read it today, and one kid is convinced that Origami Yoda is real. It is 100% the Force. It's amazing. I love it so much. All right, 2 more books to talk about. Let's go with Barbara O'Connor's How to Steal a Dog. Like you can just see how this book has been loved. How to Steal a Dog. It's a story about a couple of kids who are in a family and things aren't going so well, and they're living in a car and they're trying to help their mother get back on her feet, and so they're trying to get some money, and they realize that maybe if we have a dog or find a dog or steal a dog, and then someone puts up reward posters, then we could return the dog and get the money. Wow. It's so much fun to talk about this book with kids. It's so fascinating to see the wheels turning in their head and for them to try to think like, is it okay to steal in a situation like this? Is this okay? Because this goes against everything I believe in, but at the same time, like, this family is living in a car. It's so good. It's so much fun. I love this book so much. I haven't read this in a couple of years. I should probably buy a new copy. How to Steal a Dog, so much fun to read aloud. And finally, this one's special, Ghost. A lot of my books are falling apart. Ghost, part of the Track series by Jason Reynolds. It's about a boy named Castle Crenshaw, and he begins to discover a love for track. And the track coach in this book is such a powerful and important character. Castle's going through some things. His father tried to murder him and his mom. That scene is, when he talks about that in the book, Castle does, it's a pretty powerful scene to read aloud, and it gets kids' attention. And I think from that scene on, they are, whoa, a situation where he takes a pair of sneakers. Oh, it's just so good. It's so good. The ending is amazing. It just, Jason Reynolds' words are magical. They're lyrical. They beg to be read aloud. This book begs to be read aloud. You need to read it. You need to read it aloud. You need to share it with kids. It's phenomenal. The great thing about these 2 books is when you read them, then kids just want to know more. They want to read the other books in the Trek series. They want to read the other books in the Origami Yoda series, and that's a big part of Read Aloud, getting kids to want to read more, getting kids to want to discover more stories, getting kids to not be enough. Like, they just need more and more and more to read. And I think these 5 books help develop readers. I think these 5 books will stay in the hearts of kids forever. I think these are 5 books that someday these kids who are in our classroom, if they decide to be parents, will want to buy these books and share these books with their own kids because they're that good. Thank you so much for tuning in. I would love to know the books that you enjoy reading aloud to kids. Let me know down in the comments below. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Colby Sharp. Have an awesome-tastic day.